That was amazing. Wow. Yeah. Everybody was grooving in the Zoom. So I hope you're grooving too wherever you are. I'm going to start this talk with a story. Actually, the reading that is in my minister's notes comes straight out of Ernest Holmes's mouth, and it was in a book called Love and Law, which is a great book. And when we teach from this book when we're doing our classes, and when I was doing my training, a lot of times people would think, oh, there's so much law, the law of circulation, the law of cause and effect, the law. There's not enough love in Ernest Holmes' teachings, is what some people say. And Ernest himself said on his sort of last moments in life, if only he could do one thing differently, it would be spend more time talking about love. And so as a minister, I too find myself leaning toward the logic and the reasoning and the law of it and how things work. And I can explain it to you, and I can map it back to quantum physics if you would like. And then I remember, oh, that's right. Don't forget, it's all about love. So when I read this little snippet from you, and it's a good chunk, just listen in for where it might meet you, right where you are in your heart. I'll begin with the first part, and I'll try not to add commentary. I am aware of who I am. I do hear myself. In case you wondered, so I'm going to try to do it cleanly. There is only one thing that I ask of you, and that is that you will believe absolutely that this thing works. If you do not believe it works, it will not work, because everything is belief. He goes on to say, everything is mind, and all operation is thought, and there is not a law in the universe that is not the power of mind in action, and there never was, and there never will be. Anything you ever saw or ever will see is simply the result of mind in action. You have a body, and you have what we call a physical environment, and you would have neither if it weren't for mind. When mind desires your body to disappear, your body will disappear. What the re-embodiment will be, nobody does know. If you can learn to live today and get a lot out of life and have as much fun as I have had today, he said, and be as prosperous as we all ought to be, and be well, you should not worry what is going to happen tomorrow. You take absolutely too much responsibility upon yourself. It amounts to fear, which is natural consequence of the belief in limitation. Last paragraph. I want to endeavor to show you how you can become less limited. I say again, this will mean absolutely nothing to you. It is worthless, useless, unless you absolutely believe it. And not only believe it, but that you go right at it as though you had always known it and it had always worked and there was no possibility of failure. You will get the biggest results if you will say nothing to anybody of what you want to do. If we could add to the commandments, the greatest would be mind your own business. Drop the mic, and then he walks off. I imagine Ernest in my head. Dude, he said a whole lot in that couple of paragraphs. And so the title of the talk today is being a possibilitarian, which sounds a lot like what we've been talking about all month. What if you had the power to live any life you just decided you were going to live? What if you chose to just be happy right now, not tomorrow? And what if you chose some things are just not in your wheelhouse? Some things that you're looking at, it's not yours to do. And Ernest would say, none of your business. What? See, I love this. So it all stems from knowing the truth and then allowing ourselves to hold that truth even in the face of people who would doubt. As long as we're not the ones who are doing the doubting, then we're the ones who can embody what it is that we believe we can do. Now that's the problem, though, the belief. the belief. That's what I struggle with, and that's what people who come to me struggle with, the absolute belief in what we know to be true, because we want to make it true for everybody. Now, show me a show of hands. I have more than a few people in the room, so I should be able to see. Hands up if you have resisted embracing a certain thing for yourself because you could not make that true for everything in the world, because you don't see how that law of abundance is playing out in everybody's world. You see too many places where it's not. Then you have to make it true for everybody before you can believe it for yourself. Show of hands. I see this too as a minister, and I see the hands in the chat. Yes, because here's what happens. People are reluctant to let go of what's holding them back, because then they have to live with the idea that they held themselves back. They'd rather hold themselves back and be comfortably uncomfortable as long as someone else is to blame, because then they can have their limitations, and then they can have excuses, and then they can have a commiserating party. We call it a pity party. And then they can gripe, because that's all they see for themselves. When I give in these classes people a glimpse of another idea of themselves, the divine idea of themselves, guess what happens? Then they fight me for it. They fight for their own limitations. So that's a problem, because I can't force you to take on your highest good. You've got to come to it. It's the old adage, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him poop in it. Sorry. That's a callback from last week. Yeah. Anywho, you can lead the horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. So what do we do then? If we know, well, let's just say you don't know for sure. That's why we come to these groups. That's why we find spiritual community, because sometimes I know that it is my divine right to be wonderfully abundant. I have more than I need, so I share from the overflow. I arrive in a room and I look for how I can be of service. I'm not there to get, I'm there to give. There's times when I'm fully embodying in that high ideal of Charlene. I'm just here to serve, and I'm happy. There are other times when, things are looking kind of terrible, and I'm not sure I believe it, and that's why we need each other, because nobody vibrates in that feeling 100% of the time. We want to, but sometimes, we're human. So that's why we create these environments, these communities, these workshops, these ways of showing up with each other. I'll say a thing and you'll go, oh my gosh, that's right. And then you'll walk away with it. You're holding yourself a little higher. Or I listen to you and I go, oh, that's right. We're all just remembering who we are together, and we need each other to do it. So Ernest says, or in my notes here, part of the weekly discussion, imagine a world where we remember every moment that we are each the living breath of the one spirit. That where we are, each of us, one thread in this tapestry of divinity, and it's an amazing combination of every color, every texture, every fiber is different, because we're all contributing to this beautiful construct. No one is less than another in this world. Love is not a choice we have to force ourselves to make. It is our natural state. It's just how we wake up every day. Every decision we make shapes a world that works for everybody else. Wow, imagine that. Like, that would be fantastic. And then if you think about it like this, what if we did that where we didn't have any borders? There's no such thing as borders. It's just a fluency. It's a fluid combination of everyone doing their part and sort of reveling in it, interacting with each other. And the impossible things now are everyday experiences, because we've not held ourselves from seeing that. We've not created barriers and told ourselves that we can't do this and we can't do that. So that one little thing where you create your own barriers, you create your own limitations, or you might have grown up in a family where you are one of several siblings. And as anybody with siblings knows, is that you've got to sort of carve out your space in that group dynamic. If you're the firstborn, you tend to be more structured and more of a leader. If you're the middleborn, well, you weren't the middle forever. Like in the beginning, you were the youngest until the other one came, and it just kind of goes. When you have a group of siblings, they naturally carve out their own way of being distinct from each other. So you might say, oh, well, so-and-so is the gymnast, so this one is the flautist, and this other one is the artist. They do oil on canvas. And this, like, you might find yourself in a family trying to be distinct in your qualities, which is fine, because that tapestry does need a whole bunch of different colors and textures. I think the problem comes when we compete for attention based on those attributes. When they talk about the whole middle sibling theory or the first child syndrome, and there's all these different ways of trying to categorize our psychological makeup, and it has to do with our family of origin, and we end up just sort of moving through the world in a way that we've learned to move within our family. And sometimes that works for us, and sometimes that's what we're trying to overcome. Let's be honest, we all didn't grow up in happy daisies and lilies of the valley, but it's all whatever you grew up in, that's what you're working with as your clay, and you get to shape that in your current life. So I don't want us to just pretend like we don't have a need to be distinct from each other. And when I say tapestry, I don't want a monotone. I don't want beige. Please. I would like colors. Beige borders, but please give me some color. Like, we would love for everybody to maintain whatever specialness that they grew up carving out for themselves, or maybe if you didn't really pick one because that was your specialty, not to have one, then that's fine too. Pick your lane, get in there, and really be you. Now, I talk about this a lot, but let's talk about if you have no scarcity, like if there was a world where there was no scarce resources, everything was abundant, and then is that a vision that you could support? Or does your story, the way you present to the world, does your story depend on scarcity? Think about it. Think about what you talk about every day. Now, the reason I say that, there are some people, and I don't know that any of them come to our center regularly, so I'm not talking about someone here, so to speak, but I have met people who, without the story of lack, whether it's money or some other thing, without that story, they don't know who they would be. So I would love for us to release our story. I would love for every time we hear one of those high vibrational, idealistic things that we say, all people want love. We want to feel that love. All people want to be happy, be successful, feel successful, whatever that looks like. All people want good relationships that are nurturing, to be seen, to be heard, to be included. All people want to experience beauty. These are the high ideals of being human. Now, if we all know that that's true, and if we're not experiencing that right now in our lives, then we have some paperwork to do. The paperwork, just bust open your journal and start writing down. Let's say you feel like, I'll pick abundance just for fun. Let's say you feel like you're worried about money, you keep worrying about money, but Ernest Holmes says, well, that's tomorrow, so stop doing that. But let's say that's a problem. You hear people talk about life is abundant, you are abundant, and part of you says, no, I'm not. Okay, paperwork is involved. Break out your journal and write down, I experience infinite abundance. Or say it in a way that makes you go, no, you don't. I have so much monetary resources that I give freely to whoever needs it. No, you don't. Whatever sentence, and it could be just one sentence, but give the sentence that makes your actual feeling that Oh, I don't believe in abundance for everyone because there's too much poverty. Charlene, you can't convince me that everyone can have abundance because I'm looking right now at a picture of a child who does not have abundance. So until that person has total abundance, then I won't allow myself to feel like I have total abundance. So that's the thing I'm talking about. Whatever's keeping you from claiming this as your own, whatever attribute of the divine that you think is not available everywhere because so many people are suffering, do that one. And then I want you to do the paperwork to ask yourself, what am I really avoiding? What is the truth about me that I don't want to look at? What story am I telling that is going to need this point of view to stay the same? Because I really need to have this story. I don't know who I would be if I could not complain about money. That one. Because that's the part that's keeping you from accepting your gifts. And I don't know what it maps back to. That's why I say start your journal. Get your journal going. When did you first feel that way? When did you start embracing, in a bad way, this thing that's not true about you? I was listening to a man on a podcast who said that when he was young, he was told that he can't sing. He was told he can't sing. When he started, "Wah!" Everybody said, "Shut up." He was like, okay. So he just figured, I guess I suck at this. So he does not sing. And then, well, the man was talking about how fascia, the connective tissue between our bones, because our bones apparently don't connect to each other. They connect to the fascia, which connects to the other bone. And he does all this movement of the fascia, and that's how you can heal. Anyway, he was talking about moving the fascia in his vocal cords to the degree that he stopped blocking his ability to sing. And now he could just belt one out and he sounds fantastic. I'm like, wait, what? So apparently, Ernest already told us. He said, you are a divine being. You came here. We don't know where we're going. Sure, not our business anyway. Right here, right now, if you believe you can have anything, then you can have it. Period. It's your belief that you can't have it that's keeping you from it. So that is what people they don't want to get with it, because what they'll learn is two things. One, it was me the whole time. And then they add another thing. Dang it, if I had only learned this earlier, then I would have had a different life. But I say no, and you're never too late. If you're still breathing, there's enough time. And then, what would happen if you embraced that? This man said, I believed that I could not sing. And so he couldn't sing. And now he's like, wait, what? What are you holding back? And I would just say that whatever you're trying not to let go of, whatever you're arguing with, if you went to a metaphysical class, by the way, this is not an advertisement for the series of workshops that's starting in April, but it's kind of is. So I didn't realize I was doing that, so shout out to the divine. If you take a workshop and I tell you something that's true, and it sounds too good to be true, it sounds like amazing, it would be great if I could have that, and the only thing keeping you from it is your story, well, there's the work. There is the work that needs to be done. And I don't want to say that it's years of therapy so you can release all of the origin stories of where you came from. No, in an instant, you can release. It's like taking off blinders. In an instant, you'll see, oh my gosh, I can't have that. That is who I am. I allow myself. That the vocal cords are open now. That thing. Everybody has the ability to elevate themselves to the person they came here to be. And there are things that we held on to that are holding us back from it. And so the work is to let go of whatever story that we think we need to live this life, even though it's very uncomfortable. We're happy to just be uncomfortable and get it over with. And then on the deathbed, you find out, what? I could have what? It was me the whole time? So this is a freedom teaching. And it's not, the cool part is you decide what thing. You decide. I'm not saying you have to go through this ladder, and on the ladder you'll have these different levels of enlightenment, and pay me $3,000 per level, please, and also give me your car. No, that's called a cult. Me, all I'm doing is saying, you already know, it's in you. All we have to do is what Michelangelo did with David. He was like, so I chopped away all the pieces of the marble that weren't David, and there was David standing in front of me. It's that. It's already there. You just need to expose it, reveal it. One little chisel at it to cut away everything that's not true. Let it go, like little Elsa in that song. And then, what will you be left with? You in all of your glory. And this is the possibilitarian thinking, where you're imagining this life where we're all one, but we're many voices, but we're one. Now, speaking of many voices, shout out to all of you who went out yesterday to do the No Kings March. I was over here holding you in prayer. Wow, there were so many people unified with the fact that we have agency in choosing how we live, where we live. We are democracy for a reason. And if we get a smell, a hint, a whiff of someone that would like to take that away and start some old kingship thing, we're not here for it. No, thank you. No, excuse you. Not what we agreed upon. And that was what I'd love to see. So we're talking the imagining of what we can be, and then actually standing up against anything that we don't assign, anything that we don't, what's that word, sign up for. Like, if you know what you do want, you go toward that. And you have the right to point out when something is not in alignment. If a whole group of people agreed on something, and then all of a sudden you see one person trying to pull it another way, you have every right to say, not today. No, we don't do that. And so I loved seeing that too. These are the possibilitarian thinking. What's possible when we do get together and use all of our voices, and each way that we choose to present this voice as one beautiful tapestry of humanity that wants a world that holds each other up, that does not fight for seeming scarcity, but that recognizes the abundance within all of us. And when we're allowed to just dream, nobody has the exact same dream as the other one. That competition, it's fake. It's fabricated. It's what keeps us small. Thinking that, if you get skinny, then you're going to get attention. I want to be the skinny one. Okay, now y'all are fighting over skinny, while there's other people just trying to become a king. That's the problem. Now you're fighting over. So there are sometimes, not every thought is a thought for us to take in. Not every thought that passes by is any of our business. But when we're rooted in our divine nature, connected to the truth about ourselves, and envisioning a life that makes us chop away everything that's not purely our divine person that we came to be, and then celebrating each other into their divinity of what they came to be, we work together as that beautiful tapestry. It all looks fantastic. And nobody had to give up anything. We're all getting stronger together. That's how that works. And so I'm just here to say you're doing it right. If you're here, you're listening, you're working, and it's work, but it's play. It's fun to find out how all of these philosophies work. And I love that you all are courageous. You have curiosity to find out, well, what if I do think something different? The what if month of what if I could have whatever I want? What if we were one and we could make each other stronger? And that is the beginning of a whole new world. Break into song? Maybe not. So I'll leave you with a quote from Ernest Holmes. All the power of the universe is with you. Feel it, know it, and then act as if it were true. Let's go into prayer. As I return back to that space where the divine is breathing me, it's living as me, through me, I am so grateful that I can see the oneness. I can just know that everywhere present is the spirit, the energy of the divine. There's no spot where you can't find it. It's everywhere present. And then in this infinite set of possibilities that we all have that direct connection to the divine, no middlemen needed. That through this divine connection, we grow into our true selves, and we know we're on the right path because all of the flowers and the daisies and the joy and the evidence that life is good and it overflows and it blesses others, that's the evidence that we're on our path. And so I'm so grateful that we have a community that we can express this whole high idea of ourselves. We can support each other. We love each other through everything we're going through. And I speak my word that right now, each of us more boldly goes into that world that we see for ourselves, that world where we are beyond limits. And so we move into our next beingness with confidence and with power and with infinite light. So I'm so grateful to see this unfold. I'm so grateful to know that we live in a world where we can express our opinions and protest anything we don't like and build a world that we see the possibilities for. I release my word into the law knowing it is already done, and I let it be. And so it is. I'll get Leah back here so she could sing.